How many times have you started something in your business only to find yourself starting again? You start it, you continue in it, and then something stops you. You call it spiritual warfare, you call it something else, you call it life, and then you feel like you're starting at the beginning again. I'm Sam Kaur Evans. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and this is my weekly authority series where I will be sharing with you exactly how it's so important to build your relationship with the Father without New Age, without religion being the core factor, and start building now in kingdom authority. So be sure to subscribe to this channel so you can catch up with my weekly drops. When it comes to us as women, one of the patterns I recognize is how much we stop and start. I've always called it the stop and start syndrome. We can call it procrastination. We can call it tiredness. We can call it perimenopausal, hormones, whatever it is. Listen, I'm currently perimenopausal as we speak. I am really suffering in terms of lack of sleep, emotions, exhaustion in my body. And I'm doing everything in my power to not allow it to stop me from delivering the work that I have been anointed to carry. Now, I know it's easier said than done, and I totally understand. I had moments in my life where I just did not want to do anything. I would sit and cry for weeks, wonder why is nothing working? Why am I always starting again? Why is all of this happening? And it's not a you problem because every single woman, you, every single person like you who has stopped and started has a story to tell about it. And for me, I wasn't ready. I didn't know enough. I wasn't qualified enough. I need to build properly first. Delay, 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 delay. And it wasn't until May 2024 I thought that everything closing down in my business was my fault. I thought that everything closing down was because I did something wrong. I thought everything disappearing was because was being punished. But I wasn't. I just forgot to be in my authority because I didn't know what it was. The emotional patterns underneath my obedience was intercepting every attempt for me to move forward. So I got chronic fatigue. I got to chase other people's methods, especially human design, where they say that you need to know your place in this world, but the Father's already given you a place in this world. You don't need a piece of paper or someone's report to tell you where you fit. And so, therefore, we don't fully embody the power that we've been given from within because they said so. That piece of paper said so. That star sign said so. You're not a label. If you be willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. In Isaiah, that's what it says. So willing and obedient doesn't mean you sit there and you be good and you wait for everything to land. It means be willing to do whatever it takes, but be patient and obedient and trust that the Father's going to provide for you. Because I had to go into silence and stillness and wait. I had to build when the sales were low, and I had to create when nothing was coming in. And I had to be still and silent to build because I had rushed so much of my journey. I wanted to quantum leap like all the other people were saying. I wanted to collapse my timeline and be a multimillionaire in 3 milliseconds. I did. I wanted to do that. But I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I wasn't leading with authority. And a lot of us are willing. A lot of us want it. We pray for it. We seek it. We plan for it. But obedience, actual movement of getting the thing done keeps getting interrupted. It keeps getting intercepted. And it's not a flaw in your character. That's the emotional interference stopping you from moving forward. But willpower alone will never fix it. Every time you move forward, you most probably tell yourself that it's going to be different this time, and you feel this burst of energy and you feel like you're going to get there and everything is going to work out. But I want you to ask yourself in that moment, like, even though you've prayed and you've repented and you've returned and you know exactly where you're supposed to be going, are you moving from the obedience of the Father, which is still, calm, peace? Or is there parts of you still moving in the old identity? When you recognize that, what you notice is that you're still moving as the old version of you. Because that's what I used to do. I used to push through all the time. I used to push through and I'd say, I'll be more disciplined this time. And for a little while it worked, but then it didn't. Stop and start, stop and start, because willpower only operates at the surface level. It will manage your behavior to some extent, but it will not and cannot reach the pattern that's running at the level of your existing identity. And so you cannot out-discipline an interfering pattern. You need to face, start that again. You need to face that interference patterns. You've got to address it. And most importantly, you've got to know what it is. This is not about unlocking an emotional block, anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. I'm talking about a pattern that pulls you back in your current identity. For in Philippians it says, for it is God who works in you both to will and to do for his good pleasure. Both, which means willing and obedience. You know you have that willpower to go and create. You know you have the willpower to build that business. You feel it. But what happens, the doing keeps stopping. And when you stop doing, even though the willpower is there, that's the diagnostic signal. Something specific is still running in the background, and that has a name. You think and feel that you can do it, and you know you can. But logic can only last for a certain amount. Spirituality, that authority leads at a whole different level. But you've got to remove that interference. So when we're talking about the cycle of stop and start, this is what it looks like. You get a clear instruction. It feels God-given. You feel the momentum. You feel that rush. You feel that authority. You feel that power. You take the first few steps and something in you starts to manage it. You refine instead of release. You prepare instead of move. You get so close to the thing being seen, then something pulls you back. You feel like you're being attacked. You feel like you're being, at spiritual warfare. Let me explain to you now. If it feels dramatic, that is chaos. That is noise. And if you constantly feel like you're starting again wondering what happened, then you have to really ask yourself, where are you negotiating your authority? Why are you allowing something outside of you to interfere? Because there were moments when my husband would say the same thing to me, like, why do you feel like you have to jump from one thing to another? And I would justify it. I say, well, this didn't work out and that didn't work out. And it wasn't criticism. It was just a mirror. Because when you are on a journey that the Father has anointed you to travel on, the pattern is not just going to show up in your business or in your bank account. It's going to show up everywhere, in your relationships, in your health, in your fitness. That's why I absolutely love the quote, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And that means so much, because when you do something really well in one area and something else isn't working, then people start to feel shame. So you do really well in business, but you're not suffering with your health and your well-being. You're doing really well with your eating and your diet, but your business is suffering. So there is an interference pattern and it jumps from one place to another. And the one thing that people don't talk about is the shame that comes up when it comes to these stop and start cycles. It's horrible. It's embarrassing. Announcing, having to go quiet. Sorry, I've disappeared. Oh, I'm back again. You don't even need to justify yourself. But you also want to come across as someone who is a leader in your authority. I shut my entire infrastructure down. And I said, I'm closing everything down. I have been called to do something different. I will be back. Everything is scheduled. And all I did was schedule quotes. I went off for a month and came back with revelations. In this 5-part experience, I took people on a journey that I personally went through. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, it was very bizarre because I was going from one era to another, but I still delivered it. And there were moments of silence where I had zero. There were moments where people said no, because I was still transitioning onto this new path. The path is narrow for a reason. And it's narrow because it's asking you to refine your skill set and let go of the things that are of this world. There is no condemnation to those who are fully in Christ. It's not about constantly feeling that you're in condemnation. It's not for the stops. It's not for the starts. It's not for the times you announced and it went quiet. The Father's not sitting up there counting every time you stopped and start, you stopped and start. And He's not disappointed in your restarts. He wants to show you what is intercepting in your obedience. So the next step is the one that holds. You deserve to hold it, but you've got to also hold it even in those silent moments. And when you can hold yourself in those silent moments, you trust everything around of you. And one of the biggest interceptors are, but I need the money, but I need the sales, but I need money, but I need money. Then you are holding money on a pedestal, and that is blocking the ability for the transmission to come through for the Father. And He's just waiting for you to remove that pattern so you can move in the way He wants you to move. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. So if your steps are ordered, if that path is there and you know it, and you're wondering why you keep stopping and starting, then you have to realize it's not about pushing harder. It's not about sitting there wallowing. It's not about going, oh God, what did I do wrong? I'm being punished. It's spiritual attacks. It's not. You've got to take a level of responsibility and start going, there's something bothering me here. It has to go. It's not of the Father. I need to hear my Father. Your steps are ordered by the Father for a reason. And so when you name that pattern and you remove that pattern, you can start taking the steps that you were meant to take. That's why I created the DIAEQ, the diagnostic. That's why I created it. Not because it was a fancy quiz or something to just share your personality. I think there's enough of those on the internet that confuses the industry, confuses the audience, and it confuses you. But you need to know what's intercepting the order that the Father's given you. So take the diagnostic. It's £57. You will receive a report, which is like on this beautiful webpage I built for you with a guided audio and a nurture sequence to support you on this. The nurture sequence is not an upsell. It's a journey for every single pattern. Because I don't want you to stay here. I don't want you interfered with. I don't want you to feel like you have to start over and over again. And as someone who had that pattern over and over again, thinking it was a money block, thinking it was a sales block, thinking I need to pay someone to help me because they had more money, I'm telling you now, when you name that pattern, the stopping ends and your steps become clear. And when that moment lands, be ready. So be sure to subscribe. Be sure to take the diagnostic. Be sure to take the diagnostic because it's time for you to break free now. No more interruptions.